Okay, you remember during the opening ceremony that our One Young World ambassador, Meron Semedar, represented the world's refugees as the first refugee nation flag bearer on an international stage. Since our first One Young World Summit in 2010, the number of refugees has doubled from 30 million to over 60 million, creating the largest refugee crisis of our time, not only of your time, but in my lifetime too. One of our founding partners, the OPEC Fund for International Development, has dedicated its 40th anniversary to the plight of refugees. They support incredible young leaders from around the world to attend every single One Young World Summit each and every year. And they've made it possible for us to welcome 4 refugee heroes to the One Young World who are here to tell you their stories with all of us and tell you how you can be part of the solution. So we're really honored and humbled to have our next panel join us. Interviewing them will be the internationally renowned author, journalist, activist, and wonderful returning One Young World counselor, Fatima Bhutto. Fatty, you're introducing the delegates, yeah?
I'm going to introduce them actually maybe as we speak. Are we calling them out now, or we're going to do a little intro first?
Exactly as you please.
You're in charge.
Can we call them out?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. I think we give a big round of applause and a warm welcome to the rest of our... Okay, as Kate just mentioned, today there are 65 million people in the world who are displaced. It's the largest number in decades, and what it means is that 1 out of every 13 people is a refugee. If you've been at One Young World before, you might have heard me say like a million times how much I dislike numbers. And I dislike numbers precisely because of this, because they are unmovable and they feel unfathomable. So 2016 alone saw 300,000 people cross the Mediterranean in search of refuge. Not only was 300,000 a record number, but this year has also been the deadliest year for sea crossings. Now, I know we're a very international bunch this year and every year, but the media we watch and read is pretty much the same. And if you're looking at the papers, as I am, you might be under the impression that Europe is being flooded and overwhelmed and crushed by an influx of refugees. Is that fair to say? I mean, are you sensing this in the papers? You know, Brexit, which we haven't really spoken about that much, Brexit was fought and won on that fear of Europe being consumed by refugees. And before I interview and introduce these amazing delegates, I just want to give you another set of numbers. What percentage of the world's displaced people do you think Europe, in fact, is home to? Somebody guess. Yeah, what percent does Europe, you know, Europe, which right now you can't open a newspaper in Europe without hearing, no, it's too much. What percentage of the world's displaced people does Europe take in? Yeah, 6%, okay? 6%. In fact, the Middle East and North Africa take the largest share at 39% of the world's refugees. Lebanon? Lebanon's population is 25% refugee. That's one country. Between Africa and Asia, 84% of the world's refugees are taken in. That's a number I think we should remember and we should in fact be very proud of as people who come from that part of the world. We're going to begin today with Hani. And Hani left Syria as a teenager. He left his home in 2012 and went to a refugee camp in Lebanon. Hani is legally blind, but he is a photographer, he's an actor, and hopes to be a journalist. And when we were speaking a few minutes ago, Hani told me that he taught himself English through music, in particular rap. And in particular, Eminem. And Hani is a great advocate of self-teaching. And Hani said that the arts were a saving boat to keep my heart in a good place. So I want to begin with you, Hani. And if you could, will you tell us how you discovered photography?
Well, I used to, I'm interested in arts, all kind of arts, and that's the key because it's all about, trying to express yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So since I was acting when I was at high school, at the university, I get that confidence, to work and trying to really talk about the issues that matter to me. And I thought, that when I was at refugee camp, seeing all of these photojournalists coming for 2 or 3 hours and they doing their assignment, they go back home. Oh, should I do that myself? Mm-hmm. and do it?
These are his images behind us.
And do it like, because I was sure that this is going to end one day, and I want to use this work to show the whole world what it looked like to be a refugee. Because I was there 24 hours. I have the time. I have the feelings. I know exactly what's going on. So I thought it's going to be a very good tool. And I like photography. I like writing. I used to write poetry, but I didn't really see that I'm going to be a writer as a journalist. But being there, it's all about defining problems and trying to find solution and trying to help my community there. Mm-hmm. So I found it really useful, and I want to be I want to do that. I want to do that for the rest of my life beside my engineering studies.
You said earlier that I was interrupted. When I left my home, I didn't leave knowing I was going to be a refugee, and I left and took it as an adventure. So will you tell us a little bit also about what that adventure was like? You've spoken about time in a refugee camp, how there's no calendar in a camp.
Absolutely. I mean, for me as a Syrian, I born in a middle-class family. Everything was fine. I used to have everything that I want. I just asked for it. But I didn't. When I said adventure, because when it happened in Syria, I was applying to school, and instead of going to the university, I found myself in a refugee camp. But I told myself it's going to be 2 or 3 months, and I'll be back home. But when my family followed me, I realized this is the turning point. We are refugees now. I mean, we don't have that identity. I wasn't prepared. I didn't took anything from my room. Only my high school diploma. That's the only thing I care about. I've been studying for 12 years, Mm-hmm. But all of these things change in a refugee camp. Living in a tent with like 8 by 6 meters, with 8 of us. That's painful, for a teenager, without privacy. If you want to talk to someone about something that not only your parents, or your brothers, no, the next tent, they will hear what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it was really painful. Also, I tried it the first year because I was far away from school. I'm a little bit disappointed, so I was trying to find something I could do. So writing, that's the only thing I did at the beginning.
Yeah.
But in a refugee camp also, you don't care about the time, for sure, because what you're going to do tomorrow, it's going to be the same today. And what was yesterday, the same as after tomorrow. It's just, repeated.
Mm-hmm. Ottawa took in 10,000 Syrian refugees, which the last I checked, hang on. Ottawa, the city we're in today, took 10,000 Syrian refugees, which is the number that the entire United States has taken at the same time. And Hani is an inaugural member of Prime Minister Trudeau's Youth Council. So when I asked you, I said, have you been watching some of the sessions? He was like, I've been kind of busy with the Prime Minister. So will you tell us a little bit about what you're working on the Youth Council and how you're bringing the stories and issues of refugees?
Yeah, well, that's the value of Canada. You know, I'm so proud to be a new Canadian now. It's just amazing how this country is built. I mean, how the people are here. So it's really important that, you know, to give back.
Yeah.
So I applied to be a member, and you know, getting this idea. I want to change something. I want to make this country better. You know, it gave me a chance. Why I should work harder. You know, and I have the potential. I know that been through a lot of different lifestyles, different experiences. So I'm able to to talk about the issues that they're gonna probably be evolution or also revolution for a country that is already one of the best in the world. So our job as or our mission as youth counselor is to give a direct advice to the Prime Minister himself, because he's taking this very, very serious, and he wants really. He's one of the youngest leaders, and he wants to know what the youth in Canada wants to do. And after 15 months, I was so honored and proud to be here, and also going back to the community and ask the people, ask our friends, ask all the small community or even the large community that we're living at to to address this advice in a formal paper and send it to, well, this is what we want to see in Canada, which is everybody should do that. Every government should really, because youth are the power.
Yeah. Now, Anjelina is also 23 years old, and she is a track and field athlete originally from South Sudan. She was 6 years old when she was forced to leave her home, and since the age of 7 has been living in the Kakuma camp in northern Kenya, which is the second largest refugee camp in the world. It's home to 200,000 people, approximately. And Anjelina was selected by the International Olympic Committee to compete in Rio this past summer. And yeah. So, Anjelina, before you went to Rio, we were saying earlier that you actually hadn't heard of the Olympics. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you feel when you got to Rio and you understood what an enormous thing this was?
The first time when we were still training,
Yeah.
because it was really hard for us for the selection. We are very many in the camp, and for the selection to take place, it was still difficult.
Yeah.
But by the time when we were selected, I was so happy to be one of them.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't know what is the meaning of the Rio,
Yeah.
because I have never heard of the Rio. Yeah, so it was the happiest thing in my life.
Will you tell us what you felt when you walked into the stadium at Rio?
Okay, it was so exciting, so amazing for the first refugee to enter in that big that big stadium. So for us, it was really a hope for the refugee. In the refugee, they have been taken as in, most of the time, people see the negative thing towards the refugee. They have never taken the refugee as a human being like the other people, forgetting that the refugee, they are human being like the other people. What matters is just only the status. And this status of the refugee, it can be changed. Yeah. The time when you enter in the Malakana Stadium, we see the hope for the refugee.
Yes.
Because right now I'm here representing the refugee as the ambassador. Yeah. Refugee, they have been displaced something like 65.3 all over the world. Yeah. And for us, the time when we enter in the Malakana Stadium, it was so amazing for us. We see the hope for the refugee all over the world.
Anjelina said that before we were in darkness and now we have hope. So when you go back to the Kakuma camp, which you will return to after Ottawa. You're training to compete in Tokyo 2020, is that right?
Yeah.
And she's going for the gold next time. And is it correct that you're also training other athletes in the camp as well?
Okay. In fact, there are so many athletes in the camp.
Yeah.
We were only selected only 5 and 10 from the other part. So
Okay.
we were 10 all over the world.
Yeah.
But we left our colleague outside.
Yeah.
Right now they are really trying to training very hard. I believe maybe they will be given the chance to the next Olympic, because right now they see us, we are reluctant, but they are coming with that pressure.
I asked Anjelina if she was nervous about coming onto the stage, in a room like this, and then she showed me a picture of the Rio Stadium, which puts us a bit to shame. And James is a fellow Olympian. He is also a runner originally from South Sudan, who also left his home. James left South Sudan in order to avoid becoming a child soldier. He was 13 years old when his father was killed in the Second Sudanese Civil War. And he too made a home in Kakuma, though him and Anjelina didn't know each other until they went to Rio. Is that right?
Yeah.
James is also a fellow rap enthusiast. 50 Cent, just in case you were wondering. And James was also selected by the IOC to compete in the refugee team in Rio. And James, will you tell us a little bit about the Nairobi training camp that you trained in, what it's like?
All right. About the training at the camp, as we told you that we are so many there.
Yeah.
So the training before, as my fellow told you, it was so hard for us to catch up, you see. Because before we are not runners,
Yeah.
but the time we came to the camp, we have to do the training for us at least to adapt the environment. But the first time we are adding so many injuries, you see, because of the shoes, because of the
shoes.
and then environment also. So, but from there we try to make it until it reached at a time our body adapted to the environment, and that's why we made it.
And you said that the training camp was like a little United Nations.
Yeah, I say like that because we are many there. We are from different countries.
Yeah.
We had some guys from Somalia, from DRC Congo, South Sudan, Ethiopia, and then there's some guys from Kenya. But those guys from Kenya are the one who are showing us how to train, because we don't have that experience. It's like we are in the darkness, you see. We are just running without knowing where we are going.
That's how I run.
Yeah.
Basically.
So,
Yeah.
so since we interact with them,
Yeah.
at least now we know how to run. They show us the way, and that's why I normally say thank you for them, because that experience we learn from them.
And James was saying to me that when they were in Rio, they used to go and watch each other's events to support each other. What made you happy at Rio, James?
All right. We are doing that because you see, there's one thing in common. All of us were refugees.
Yes.
Since we met one another, it is a good thing, because the sport now, it brings us together.
Yeah.
We are together now. We know one another.
And you take care of each other.
Yeah, of course. So it is very important that we have to support one another. When this person is competing, we have to go there, all of us.
Yeah.
Showing that we love one another, showing that we have unity, you see.
That's
So,
lovely.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it is very important that
Will you also tell everyone here today what you told me earlier, which is that in the Kakuma camp, most of the refugees had never seen TV before they watched you and Anjelina run at Rio.
Yeah.
What was that like when you came back to the camp?
All right. Before we start the competition, the president of IOC, he called us. He told us that we are going to put a TV in the Kakuma refugees camp, so that the guys will be watching.
And there was no TV in Kakuma before that?
No.
Okay.
So the guys, they are watching the races, the time we are running.
Yeah.
So the time we left the Rio, we are going back to Kenya, they are eager to see us. They pressurized the foundation that we need to see these guys, let them come and brief us about the Rio until they allow us to go there. The time we reached there, it was a very big celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys were so happy. Then they asked us so many questions about the Rio, about the running. Is it hard? How did you see the running? Is it okay?
Is it hard? It is hard.
Yeah, they asked me,
Okay.
can we join you? Yeah, we tell them, yeah, this one is about if you commit yourself to do it, automatically you will make it. Because if you don't have that passion, you see, to do it, it will be difficult.
Yeah.
You will run away because you will see that you will not make it. Because of that, also we buy them some balls.
You bought footballs, is that right?
Yeah. We take to the camp. Before we distribute those balls, we call all the youth, all the guys who normally play football.
Yeah.
We advise them about the talent that they had. Because when you have this talent, you have to know what to do. The running or football, you don't have to become lazy. You see, you have to work hard. You have to wake up in the morning. You have to go for the training in the evening, and it is very important. It is your roles to do it because you want it to.
Yeah.
You want it to take you somewhere. You see, it may be your future. Yeah.
Just remember in 2020 that we were here with 2 future gold medalists. Yes? Now, our last delegate, Meron, is a One Young World veteran. Meron is from Eritrea, and he's been coming to One Young World since 2012. He lives in San Francisco at the moment and has been a tireless advocate for refugees, to bring people together, to discuss migration, to discuss Eritrea. He has founded an organization called Lead Eritrea, which connects Eritreans from all over the world to work towards democracy and community. And Meron was the flag bearer for the refugee flag at the opening ceremony a few nights ago. Will you tell us, and it's the flag that Anjelina is holding today, will you tell us, Meron, what is the story of this flag?
Right, thank you, Fatima. The flag was designed by a Syrian refugee. It was the first time at One Young World, in fact internationally, that it was waved at such an internationally recognized event. So what the colors show is, as you can see, orange and black, a life vest. As you can see today, many refugees from Syria and from North Africa are wearing such a life vest to try to make it to the other side, to the other end, probably to Europe most of the time. And that is what it resembles, the solidarity among many other refugees trying to save themselves, wearing the life vest jacket to try to make it to Europe. That's pretty much the definition of it.
And the black stripe?
And the black, well, the black stripe is also part of the vest, but in my understanding also it resembles the sadness that we see. As you can see, so many, comparing to last year, this year, so many refugees had died trying to cross the Mediterranean. But carrying a refugee flag, you can see the weight it carries. 65 million estimated refugees around the world right now. and I personally, as a refugee, it just makes me wonder, you know, how many souls to represent in such a prestigious event. I'm very grateful for One Young World that they brought it on the international stage, and I would advocate that it would be carried in every other international event.
Yeah, yeah. Will you speak for a second, Meron, about what it is like to travel as a refugee, what it is like to travel without papers, or the difficulty of papers? I mean, Anjelina and James only just got their visas, like 2-3 days ago. You know, they flew 20 hours to be here with you today, and it wasn't an easy journey. What is that like in your experience?
Well, as a refugee, you have little access. You have so much limitation. Your life is basically, you have to live a double life. You have to work so much hard to be able to achieve what Anjelina and James has achieved. I personally carry a refugee travel document, and I have it with me. I will show you. And to get one, it's a pain. Yeah. And when you get even one, for most countries, they don't accept it. You know, to get a visa is so hard. My travel document is only valid for a year, and I can only use the 6 months of it, because most nations, they don't even allow you to have a to have any passport that's less than 6 months valid. So I, as an advocate for refugee, I had to travel to so many events. I just missed one in Poland because of this travel document. I had one, but it didn't have enough valid dates, so I had to apply a new one almost every 6 months. So this is just my own example, but so many other refugees don't even have the access to get this one. So to a certain degree, comparing to most of the refugees out there in the refugee camp, I kind of feel a little privileged, but the pain is there. Yeah. And this is the average life of any refugee. You could imagine, this is in regards to travel document, but how about the day-to-day life? We just heard from Hani, James, and Anjelina that they haven't seen a TV in the refugee camp. The issue of privacy in a tent that is 8 by 6 meter. So you can imagine how life is for the average refugee.
Could you also speak for a second about smuggling, about your experience of being a victim of smuggling and losing many friends?
Right. I'm Eritrean, so we had this great country, independent, 1991, a new nation, and then all of a sudden we were working so hard, caring about our education to become productive citizen. But soon in 2001, things just went out of hand. No constitution, no government, dictatorship government, and young people started to leave the country because you could do little. If you start to do something, you will be incarcerated or you will be imprisoned for your lifetime. You don't know what's going to happen to you. So we start fleeing the country. There have been so much tries to try to change the government, but weren't successful. So you try to save yourself. And in that process, for instance, in my time, there was a shoot-to-kill policy in the border. But coming out of that, I was lucky enough to be alive with other 5 friends. We made it to Sudan. And from Sudan, you know, your hope or your means of travel to another country is smugglers. Because you could mention a lot of NGOs, international organizations, they don't have the capacity to help. I personally feel they're not doing enough, or it's mostly fixated with geopolitical. And in that case, you take smugglers to get you to the next country. In that process, there was a route between 2009 and 2013, people trying to go to Israel. And in that process, so many of my close friends I lost. They were asking for 20,000, 30,000 at times. And this is in US dollars. Yeah. There was a moment where they were starting to take organs of these individuals, these refugees. And the same applies if you see the route where many North African refugees are crossing from Sudan to Libya, and then from Libya, taking this perilous journey of the Mediterranean to cross to Europe. That is all done through smugglers. And if you ask an average refugee who took that route, he or she would tell you that that's the only option they have. They know a lot of money is being spent, and guess what? This money is coming from someone who's in diaspora. So the issue goes as far as the diaspora, people coming to live in the West. They have to work hard to save another life. Yeah. And the only way means is through smugglers.
I mean, I could sit here actually all day and listen to all of you. And I think what is really important for us to close our session on, and I'll start with you, Meron, and maybe you can all answer, is seeing refugees as part of the solution, as part of the fabric of societies. I know you work on that in particular.
Right.
So maybe if you could answer a little bit of that, and also just what all of you want us to do here at One Young World. What can we do as individuals to support you and your causes and refugees? So Meron, would you go first?
Well, firstly, let's not see refugees as burden. Refugees come with a lot of rich culture, diversity.
You want to say it?
Entrepreneurship. We've seen so many scientists. Einstein himself, a refugee, who once said, a bundle of belonging is not the only thing a refugee brings to his new home. So let's take this seriously. I mean, the diversity that comes with culture, food, and we can see that in Canada.
Yeah.
So refugees are also part of the solution. I mean, in my own way, in such a small bit, I'm trying to bring my community, regardless of what political belief, the government side, non-government side, to try to come to solve the issue back home, so that one day we will have a peaceful, prosperous nation and we will end up this migration crisis. And in their own way, I see James and Hani and Anjelina, they have been a model, a hope for their fellow refugee. So let's please consider refugees. They have a soul, a beautiful soul. They have the talent, they have the skills, it's just they're not getting the opportunity. You are in a refugee camp, your education is limited. Your far-sighted is limited. Yesterday, Yunus was talking about imagination. So the refugee could bring a lot of good things to this world, except they need to be given that opportunity.
Yeah.
They're not getting that opportunity. They're stuck in refugee camps. So let's consider refugee as one of us. It's the same soul, it's the same body. It's just politics that has brought it into our world. The 1951 Convention, the 1967 UN Protocol has curtailed us from achieving our dreams and aspirations. So please, when you go home, this is what I ask of you. When you go home, help a refugee in your own way. It could be mentorship. It could be getting them a job. Or maybe, like in the United States, we have a great election coming up. So please elect someone that understands the humanity. I mean, we have two basic candidates that couldn't even see that.
James, is there anything you want us to know or to do?
All right. What I would like just to add on what Meron said, you see, as refugees, since we have been given this chance, you see, like to compete in Olympic, that is to start their life. You see, it is just the beginning.
Yeah.
So what I can just say, all the youth, they should wake up. Let them not sleep, waiting for UN to bring for them. You see, if you have that chance, at least you can make your life. You can do something. Don't just sit down idling. You see, that is not the best way.
Yeah.
So everything is just about hard working, and if you work very hard, the God will see you also, will help you. So I just say thank you, everyone, for supporting us.
Thank you, James.
And may God bless you.
Anjelina?
Okay, I would like to call upon all the United Nations, because they have been supporting the refugee in terms of receiving them. The only thing that I would like them to do is to get the best solution for the refugee, to get the best solution in their country, to see what is really happening in their country, instead of them just only to be continuing to receive. Because I wonder, for how long are we going to be a refugee? At least if they get the best solution in their country to solve their problem to the leaders, so that at least they have to stay in their country in a peaceful way. Because if we continue to become a refugee, many people they have been just staying idle. Like in the camp that we are, most of the youth, when they get a lot of challenges, they are idle, doing nothing. Even in issue of the sport, they don't know what is the sport.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm here because of Tekla Lorupe, who came and do the selection for us. If not because of her, the UNHCR, IOC, and LWF, and the other agency because of helping us. I really give thanks to them for helping us until we have reached to this standard.
So entrepreneurs at One Young World, open your doors. Yeah? And Hani, the closing word?
That's tough. The closing word. So I have to stand, because I found about this when I first, learned how to walk, and I found what is home, because my father was sitting there and with open arms to save me, That was home for me for the first beginning. So all of you have IDs with you, and there's a place there's something saying that you're born somewhere, right? But are you sure this is home? I don't think so. Because what is home when you're studying somewhere else far from your family? What is your home when you're doing your job in an oil company in the second end of this world? What is home? What is home when you're getting your chemical treatments because you're suffering from cancer in a different country? What is home when you are far away from your country? What is home when you are feeling isolated? What is home when you are a refugee? So I would like you to forget about your ID now, and you just go and raise and see what is your home. And that's what I want to ask all the leaders. The only thing that this world or this individual wants here from One Young World, the only thing that we want is the place that we belong to, that we are happy at. The place that we should call home is the place that we all should seek about, and that's what they should give us. The only thing that we want is home. Thank you.
Our promise to you must be, our promise from all of us, this is your home.
And I'm glad.
I also want to thank wonderful Fatima, and also particularly to thank the people who've helped us to do, and we have learned so much what a hard work it is to find you and to bring you somewhere. So I want to thank from the OPEC Fund for International Development, and I don't know your new married surname. Reem, where are you? Reem, are you here? You backstage?
Backstage.
And also from our team, Matthew Belshaw.
Yeah. Reem and Matt, well done. Thank you so much for sharing your stories.